Good morning, friends, and happy Tuesday. If you saw yesterday's newscast, I was channeling a little Daphne from Scooby Doo and fighting a cold and trying to find some time to film between hearings. I'm still fighting the cold, but I got it done this morning, so. I'm Xavier, and it's time for the Morning Roundup. I do this little newscast Monday through Friday, and I try to pull the stories that have more of a spotlight for the Black community, and I try to do it in under 10 minutes. Today is Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. Here's today's news just for you. First up from Washington. The man accused of attacking House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband with a hammer told police he wanted to hold the Democratic leader hostage and break her kneecaps to show other members of Congress there were consequences to actions, authorities said on Monday. In a federal complaint, officials say that David DePape, 42, carrying zip ties and tape in a backpack, broke into the couple's San Francisco home early Friday morning, went upstairs where 82-year-old Paul Pelosi was sleeping, and demanded to talk to Nancy. The federal filing stands in contrast to the mocking jokes and conspiracy theories about the Pelosi attack circulating by far-right figures and even some leading Republicans just a week before the hard-fought midterm elections. By breaking Nancy's kneecaps, she would then have to be wheeled into Congress, which would show other members of Congress there were consequences to actions, the complaint says DePape told investigators. DePape told police of his plans to hold Speaker Pelosi hostage to talk to her and viewed her as the leader of the pack of lies told by the Democratic Party, the 8-page complaint says. DePape is charged federally with influencing, impeding, or retaliating against a federal official by threatening or injuring a family member. He also faces one count of attempted kidnapping of a United States official on account of the performance of official duties. No attorney has been listed for DePape. It said information would be revealed at an arraignment hearing today. DePape is a Canadian citizen who legally entered the United States in 2000, but has stayed long after his visa expired, according to a U.S. official who was not authorized to discuss the matter publicly and spoke on condition of anonymity. The beating of the speaker's husband follows other attacks and threats. This summer, a man carrying a gun, a knife, and zip ties was arrested near Justice Brett Kavanaugh's house in Maryland after threatening to kill the justice. In 2017, Republican Representative Steve Scalise was seriously injured when a Bernie Sanders supporter opened fire on Republicans at a congressional baseball game practice. Out of Ohio, Republicans in Ohio are promoting a measure on the November 8th ballot that would prohibit non-citizens from voting in local elections. It would make Ohio the 7th state to take such a step if it passes and could motivate turnout among GOP voters in this year's high-stakes midterm elections. The state also has a close race for a seat that will help determine the balance of power in the U.S. Senate. Republican Secretary of State Frank LaRose, the state's election chief, is championing State Issue 2, a proposal advanced by Ohio's GOP-led state legislature. It would make a tiny but pivotal wording change in the Ohio Constitution from guaranteeing voting rights for every citizen of the U.S. who meets certain criteria to only citizens of the U.S. who do. Next, out of Pennsylvania. Penn State University has scrapped a racial justice center that has been long in the making, leaving its black faculty members now questioning the college's alleged commitment to diversity. According to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, the Internal Select Penn State Presidential Commission on Racism, Bias, and Community Safety recommended a Center for Racial Justice more than a year ago. Several dozen black faculty members got together on October 17th to talk about what they felt was Penn State's lack of response to urgent issues brought up more than 18 months earlier following the university's decision not to implement the center. Penn State put several cost-cutting measures in place after its last fiscal year ended with a deficit of more than $100 million. However, the center's annual costs will reportedly be less than $1 million. A committee had already been created to lead the search for its director. Penn State President Neely Bendapudi reportedly met with several campus organizations to discuss the Racial Justice Center. She declared in a news release on Wednesday that the school remains fully dedicated to fighting racism and racial discrimination. I have determined that enhancing support for current efforts by people who know Penn State best will be more impactful than investing in a new venture, and so we will not pursue efforts to launch a racial Center for Racial Justice, said Ben Deputy, according to the Post-Gazette. The institution declared it would assess diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging (DEIB) efforts by next month. It intends to analyze current data and research to disseminate a university-wide plan in early 2023. Lastly, good news for students looking to attend an HBCU. Andrew Young, McGraw-Hill link for new HBCU scholarship program. McGraw-Hill Education and arm of McGraw-Hill Publishing put an initial $50,000 in the program, which will fund 10 first-year students next fall who plan to attend an HBCU. A new scholarship program for students at historically black colleges and universities bears the name of former United Nations Ambassador Andrew Young. Young, along with Georgia legislators, civil rights leaders, students, and others, gathered Friday on the steps of the Woodruff Library at Atlanta University Center to celebrate the creation of the new Andrew Young HBCU Scholarship Program. McGraw-Hill Education, an arm of McGraw-Hill Publishing, put an initial $50,000 into the program, which will fund 10 first-year students next fall who plan to attend an HBCU. Scholarship recipients will also complete a civil rights curriculum designed by Good of All, an organization that promotes universal human rights. Young, who graduated from Howard University in 1951, said he probably never spent more than $400 a semester for his education and graduated debt-free. Today, the U.S. Department of Education estimates the average cost of college in the United States is $35,550 per student per year, including books, supplies, and daily living expenses, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported. The challenge today is, how do you get an education and get a job to help you pay back all of that money you borrowed that is going to leave you in debt? The former Atlanta mayor asked. College should not destroy your credit rating and set you back before you start. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Keep up with me on Instagram at the Morning Roundup. I also have another show called The Black Case Files, where I do more of a deep dive on murders, mysteries, conspiracy, and history, focusing on people of color. That show is always linked below. Make sure you are registered to vote, and I will see you tomorrow, friends. Bye.